Shalom, welcome. And if you are a tree watching this, though I'm not sure why any trees would be watching, however, I'd like to wish you a very, very happy Tu B'Shvat, a happy New Year's to all the trees. Today is the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Shvat, and it is the biblical New Year's for trees. We are incredibly blessed to have such an amazing variety of trees around the world. And I do like trees. I don't necessarily hug them, but I do like them. And this photo I took last week in Kuala Lumpur. You can see there are seven fruits. I actually had eight, but I ate one before I took the photo. Now, these were seven or eight new fruits for me. In this photo, there's salak, there's wax apple, rambutan, mangosteen, chiku, and there's another two fruits. I'm not sure what they are. If you do know the names of them, please drop a comment. So these were new fruits. Delicious fruits. I got to taste them. And fruits are really amazing. I like fruits. I've had a love affair with fruits since I was a child. And traveling the world, I've been to over 75 countries across seven continents. I love discovering new fruits to try. These photos here are from my photo vision board, goals and stuff. So I believe strongly that not only should you write down a goal, but even better, create a visual image of it. And this is just a sample of some of the photo images I've created of my goals. I think these are from 10 years ago. So you can see there's skydiving, and I've since gone skydiving. There's an image of the Yongala wreck in Australia. I went for a dive there. That was awesome. And a bunch of other stuff. There in these photos, there are four fruits you can see. Now, one of them I've since had, and that's the star apple. And the three others I'm still looking for, haven't come across yet. I hope so in my travel sometime. So I do like fruits, and I travel the world looking for new fruits to try. What's so great about fruit? Well, it is delicious. A lot of fruits are. They've got vitamins, they've got nutrients. There is more to fruit. And for me, I think fruit is a sign that God really loves us. Okay, and any parents out there, like if you've got kids, you've got to give your kids food, right? You got to feed them dinner, but you don't have to give them dessert. Ice cream, cookies, cake, chocolate, dried fruit. God's God has to give us food. But he could have just given us potatoes and onions and said, there you go. But we've got mangoes, pineapple, blueberries, cherries, delicious things to eat. And to me, this is a sign that God really loves us. And this photo I took 2 weeks ago in Machane Yehuda, and that's the shuk, the market in Jerusalem. You can tell it's from Jerusalem. There's a photo of someone carrying that big bag of popcorn, which is quite popular in the area. Here's another photo from Machane Yehuda, the shuk in Jerusalem, and just look at all this delicious dried fruit. We are really blessed to have all of this. Now, in Jewish tradition, we have berachot, we have blessings, and these are recited every time before we eat anything. It's not just before a meal, where some people may say grace or something around the table, but in Jewish tradition, a blessing, a bracha, is said every single time before we eat anything. And there are blessings on different types of foods, but there is a particular blessing made on fruit, and that's Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you, our God, Elokeinu melech haolam, Borei Pri Ha'etz, who created the fruit of the tree. Now, there is another special blessing, bracha, which is made on smelling a really nice smelling fruit. This is not as well known. And this is Hanotin Reach Tov Baperot, who places a good aroma into fruits. This photo is, I think it's called the Buddha hand or the hand of Buddha. And I once had one for about 2 weeks sitting in my kitchen. It is just wonderful. The smell is beautiful. There's not much to eat of this. There's not really any fruit in it. It can be used for a bit of zest, bit of seasoning, flavoring. Got an incredibly aromatic fruit. So we have a special blessing to give thanks just on smelling a nice fruit. And our sages in the Talmud tell us that it's forbidden for a person to benefit anything in the world without giving and without reciting a blessing to thank God. And I think what's so powerful about reciting berachot blessings is that, really happiness comes when we are present and we are being grateful. And when we recite a blessing before we eat, it puts us into a place of being present and a space of gratitude. Now, not all fruits have a great smell. Here is the durian. I took this photo last week in Malaysia, and it is durian season in Asia. So if you go around to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, that whole area, you'll see lots of durian stands in the evenings. People go out to eat this durian because the smell is really strong and it's pretty much forbidden to bring it into any sort of hotel or most places. You can't bring it indoors. So people go outside to eat it because it is delicious. I really enjoy it. And I enjoy this. Actually, the smell doesn't bother me. I like it. Strange. Now, we have another blessing which is recited in Jewish tradition, and that is Shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'giyanu lasman hazeh. And this is a blessing of gratitude and praise we give to God for giving us the opportunity for some new occasion. It's recited on sometimes on getting a new item of clothing or on the birth of a child at times, and there are other circumstances where it can be recited, but particularly when we try a new fruit, we can recite this blessing, and that's another reason why I love going out there and finding new fruits. Here are the Shiva Minim, the seven species which the Torah, the Old Testament, the Bible, blesses the land of Israel with. There is wheat, there is barley, dates, pomegranates, grapes, and figs. And really also delicious fruit. What's amazing about these are powerful superfoods and well known around the world. And what I find so interesting about these seven species, and which, by the way, you should try and have them on Tu B'Shvat if you can. They don't necessarily need to be from Israel, but just having these seven species representing the land of Israel is very powerful to create a spiritual elevation within yourself and within your surroundings. And these seven species is that they don't have much of a smell. If you think about it, grapes, pomegranates, dates, figs, there's no smell. It's not like stone fruit, peaches, nectarines, plums, pineapple, melons, very strong smells these fruits don't have. And what I think is that it's really symbolic of the land of Israel. The land of Israel externally doesn't always look that beautiful. And if you go back 100 years ago, Israel was a swamp in the north and a desert in the south. And sure, it's been brought to bloom. There's trees growing and there's so much beautiful nature there. But Israel, the beauty of Israel is below the surface. It's that spirituality. When you dig a little bit deeper, you start finding the beauty in the land of Israel. And the fruit represents that. That on the outside, there's not much going on, but on the inside, all these fruits are really delicious. Here's another photo from last week. Yeah, I was around last week. I was in actually, wow, 4 countries. And here is flying into the UAE, United Arab Emirates, flying over, I think that's Abu Dhabi. And as you can see in this photo, nothing grows there, right? Nothing's growing. But if you walk into a supermarket, as I did in the UAE, you will find an amazing selection of fruits from all over the world. And this is incredible that we have the ability to get any fruit virtually anywhere, anytime. We are really blessed. And here again, here is in this is in Dubai, and you can see all this fruit from all over the world, and they've listed where it's from: Colombia, Vietnam, and there's Australia and so on. You can get anything really, really great if you like fruit. Now, here's an interesting one because we're talking about blessings, berachot. What blessing do we make on fruit? Now, we on foods, shall I say? And there's a blessing on fruit, there's a blessing on vegetables, there's a blessing on things like fish and meat, there's a blessing on wine, blessing on bread. And sugar cane is a very interesting one because it's the one that it's kind of the rabbis debated what exactly is it? What should be the blessing? And you can see over here that there were some rabbis who felt it should be ha'etz because it's considered a fruit, and some felt it's hadama, it's more of a vegetable, and some felt it was a shahakol, which is another blessing we have. And to understand importantly is that in halakha, in Jewish law, when we say fruit and vegetable, it's not the same fruit and vegetable that most people would think of. Like a tomato or tomato is considered a vegetable as for the blessing because it grows from the ground, but even though it can't technically be a fruit, and things like melons and pineapples are also, they're fruits, but the blessing is on food, Borei Priyadama, because it comes from the ground. So there's quite a lot of intricacies in the Jewish blessings. And while it may initially sound a little bit much, it is very powerful because when we recite the right blessing, we elevate the trapped holiness that is inside the fruit or the vegetable or any food for that matter. And we elevate that which we then eat, and it elevates us to a higher spiritual reality. It also draws down more light into the world, more blessing. So, yeah, maybe do a bit of a study on it and figure out how to add a bit more of these brachot. This photo I took, yeah, just outside of Montreal. And with growing up, I used to go apple picking with my family. And it's amazing because, you go into the supermarkets, most supermarkets, and you have a small selection of apples. Maybe there's a Granny Smith, Pink Lady, Red Delicious. But the reality is there are over 7,500 varieties of apples. And I know when we used to go pick these apples, there were Spartan, Macintosh, and all kinds of other apples. Many taste very different from the other. Just like a Granny Smith and a Red Delicious are quite different. There are such a large variety of apples, as well as like bananas. Most people are just familiar with, 2 or 3 types of bananas. And if you go into supermarkets in most Western countries, you're probably really only going to get one type of banana. But there are over 1,000 varieties of bananas. How amazing is that? The same with avocados. Most people are familiar with maybe 1 or 2, and the supermarkets tend to carry 1 or 2, but there are really over 500 varieties of avocados. Fantastic. And the reason we don't get a lot of this variety, it's really just to do with economics and transportation. that some fruits and some vegetables don't keep for as long, don't transport as long. I mean, I know it myself. I left an apple in the fridge for a month, came back, and it was fine. So the fruits and vegetables which do well in cold storage, we tend to see in the market. But traveling the world, if you get into places like north of Brazil and Ecuador into the jungles or parts of Asia, you'll discover such an amazing variety of fruits. And here, one photo, as you can tell, one photo is in China. And look, they're even growing molded pears. This little Buddha, it's a pear. They grow it in a mold. Lots of fantastic fruit. Now, the other photo, I took this in Zambia, and I tried three different fruits there. I can't say, well, two of them weren't that great, and I don't remember the names of them. I got to check up. But this other one on the bottom, which is the baobab, comes from the baobab tree. That was pretty cool. Broke it open, and it's this kind of lemony, tangy, powdery fruit. Quite nice, full of nutrition and nutrients. And you can see how, oh, in the other photo in China, there's the sabra fruit, there's a dragon fruit. Amazing. And to finish off here, here's a photo I took as well. And here are two fruits. I'm not actually sure what they are. So if you do know what they are, please drop a comment. And that's really it about fruit. And I encourage you to get out there and discover some new fruits, make some blessings, feel gratitude, be thankful. And I wish you a happy Tu B'Shvat.